face detection using deep learning. So how we can do a face detection is like with our knowledge, like currently, like with the topics what we have discussed, can any one of you suggest like what kind of method can be used? Because let's say like you have captured an image where you it contains the individual. Okay, so now how are we going to detect a face? Like means like face detection in the sense it should be detecting where the face is, means like faces, and then also classifying who is that person. Okay, okay. So can any one of you suggest some method like how can it be done? Do is like actually, let's say like how usually like let's say in a kind of an if your company wants to like employ this face detection algorithm at the entrance only for the employees, it should open the gate, and for the rest of them like it should not open. Okay, so maybe that is a case like where can be a use case for face detection, right? So let's say like how we can be able to do. Okay, so what happens then, your every employee will have a database, right? So in employee database you'll be having photos of each employee, right? Employee 2, employee 3, some face. Okay, so you'll be having photos of each person. So using this, what you should be doing, like in case a person comes and stands before a camera at the entrance, he should be able to detect the face of that new person and then compare it with each of these guys, right? So if a person is there, like who is he? Like is he any of them? Like is it matching with employee 1 or employee 2 or employee 3, so on. And then next thing is like if it is matching, then open the door. If it's not, like don't open the door, right? So this is how we can set up a kind of an application for this face detection. So taking this use case, let's go forward and design how face detection can be employed. Okay, so what can be done is like maybe here we won't be having a single employee, right? So you'll be having not just 2 3 employees, you'll be having some thousands, or in some cases it will be like 10,000s, like lakhs as well. So you have to compare each image with like each other, right? So and also, okay, then maybe you have employed some very good computational system like capability like power, like where it can actually do a comparison of all those with this. Okay, but still maybe in the photo which has taken, you don't have like multiple photos of each person, right? You will be having only a single photo. Okay, so mostly when the person is joining, like during that time he'll be taking a photo of you, and like company will be storing a photo of you, and they will try to compare every day while you come, like with that photo, and then see if both faces are matching, right? So maybe you have like in case if you are a man, then you may have grown a beard, like maybe that day on day of joining you may not have that beard, or maybe in some case you may have changed your hairstyle or something like that, you started wearing specs. There can be many ways, like your face may vary, right? So it need not be the same. Okay, so in such kind of scenarios, how are you actually dealing with it? Then if you do a direct comparison, it may not give you better result. It may not able to detect that you are the same person, right? So in such kind of scenario, how are you actually deal with it? So maybe you have got the computational capability, but still you directly comparing if this is equal to this is not at all proper way of doing it. So what actually we do is, there is a proposal, like we define a kind of a network. So which input one means like one image, and second image, okay, input two. Previously what we thought, we directly do a comparison and then see if it is matching or not, right? So this is what we thought initially, but this doesn't work because data may vary. In case means like each, let's say this is a new image, you will search with database image, like so then each of the image you will search with database images, and then you will do this comparison and see if it is matching or not. But this doesn't work. Why? Because what it can be is like person's face need not be exactly same as before in database, right? This is a major like thing here. So maybe he started the person started wearing cap or a hat or something, then still then it won't be able to it won't be the same image, so it won't be able to detect. So one solution which can be possible is, instead of taking blind the plain image, raw image, what we can do is, we can do a pre-processing and extract features out of it. Okay, a kind of a facial if we can extract a facial features, like the nose can be like this much of length or this much broad or thin, your eyes are like this, and with these are aligned to this angle, something like that. If you can have kind of a descriptive features out of your face, then what we can do is we'll be able to come facial features, let's say, and then for each of a image within the database, you extract a facial features and compare these features. Okay, instead of direct comparison, you can do this comparison. This makes sense, right? So because you're, maybe you wear a hat, or maybe you started growing a beard, or anything else. Okay, so maybe started having a long hair or something. So in this case, what can happen is, like, usually the facial features will remain same. Maybe if you only look at eyes, or only look at nose, or maybe see the relation, how the alignment is there of nose and eyes, or something like that, even lips as well as ears as well as forehead, and so on. For each of these, like, if we can extract features out of it and then compare those features instead of a direct image, then maybe we'll be able to match do a proper match. Like in that case, like, this disadvantage what we have mentioned before will not affect our problem. Okay, now that has been overcome by doing this kind of a solution. So how actually will extract facial features? So this is known to us. So what we can do is, uh, what, how to extract features in deep learning, right? So can any one of you tell like what can be a way to extract these facial features? Okay, so try to extract. Let's use a single image and use some convolutional layers, maybe a couple of convolutional layers, as well as a ReLU or something like that. Okay, I'm not mentioning all. So you have few layers. Okay, now we added a couple of layers, and these layers can give us like, here it will be represented in a different dimension, right? In case if you flatten it as a dense network. Okay, so what you can have is a kind of features from this. Okay, so this is how we can actually extract features, but we need to train. We can't just put random convolution layers with random initialized weights and then use it as a features. We need to train it as well. So what we can do is use a network like this, and then this network maybe fix a dimension here. Okay, so let's say 250, like maybe in case if it is a longer vector, right? So where you did a flatten, maybe use one more network where you fix the dimension. Usually it is fixed with 256 dimension, or maybe 128 dimension. Let's say 256 dimension. So or 512, it is your wish, like which one you want to use with that size. So then what you do is, this you will be similarly, this is for a new image, right? You do the same for a database image. So you do the same, like convolutional layers and this thing. So you have like flattened it, and as well as now you are using a dense layer of fixed size, maybe 256 dimension, and then you can compare these both and give a matching or not, right? So this is one way of doing it. So where what you'll do is for each of the image. So but in case but for doing this, right, so you can train an image like this. So while training, what you can do is maybe use like one of the company's ID like image here and like run it, okay, and say that like that time if it is matching means one, like it can be a soft max here. So matching is one, and if it is not matching, zero. Then you can give some random new image and then train the model saying that like output should be zero. So like that we can train this model and obtain like update these weights here, right? So and now this is able to extract feature very well. Okay. So now one more trick here is, so instead of running always going through this entire thing here at the database image, because these are the fixed inputs which we already know. So what we do is, instead of running the entire
Rajesh,
thing, so when a person walks in, we have his real face, and that real face is a new image here, which we want to compare it with like like images which we have in our database. So what we do is we do a comparison, maybe first, second, third, so on. Like maybe there are like 1,000 images. So each of them we will go through this and then see if it is matching or not. So if always like computing this much of computation for each of the employee won't be economical. So what we do is we do a let's say, let me say like this way, you are having a feature extractor and you have these features, and this you are comparing it with the new image features, right? So what you do is you make this comparison, sorry, this computation before itself, and you store these values. So what values you get, right? This is just what 256 dimension means, like you have only 256 values for each. So this is not dimension, like you can say 256 into one dimension, or these 256 values for each image you'll be storing. Okay, for a second again a 256 dimension vector, third one again one more 256 dimension vector, like this for these 1,000 images, like you'll be storing this just this 256. But in case if you want to store the entire image, what you have is like image maybe some 1,024 into 768. Okay, so if you do a multiplication, what you have is 1,024 into 768. This much number of points you have. Okay, so instead of this much big, like we are only storing just 256. Okay, so here itself it has reduced by a large extent, right? So it won't have a very large computational capability requirement. So what we do is we'll store these features here. So and these features, what we do is, like in case of a new image comes, we will extract the features, and then you get a new dimension, right? So you will do a comparison with these, and then use with the softmax which we already have, you match or not, you'll be getting this value here. And similarly make a comparison this way once the network is trained for each of these images, and we'll be able to know if it is matching or not. And we can also know like which person it is, right? Because we are doing a comparison here, and we'll be knowing which to which of the person like it may be closest, which of the person employee ID it may be matching. Okay, so with that we'll be able to identify the person as well. First thing is like match, uh finding match, like identifying match, and like both are same, right? So so only one thing is not just like knowing if the person like exists within your database, you will also identify who is that person as well. Okay, so we can do this even in case you can monitor within your maybe house as well. Okay, like if you can keep a CC camera, let's this is just an example. So you can keep a CC camera and know always who is moving what side and who is going there and what he is doing, like everything, like maybe in a company, maybe in a house, maybe in a factory mostly. Okay, so in case if you want to monitor very keenly, like what each other person is doing and where he is moving into. Okay, so such kind of things you can employ this kind of face detection algorithm, and you'll be able to get within a scene, you'll be able to detect each person as well as like who is that person is. And also in case we employ a action recognition algorithm where we can see like what he is doing as well. Okay, so we will be getting entire scene description out of it. So such is one more application which we can do. So as of now, let's restrict the scope today's session to face detection. So the next thing would be, so okay, now we are saying like you'll be able to train it on it, right? So let's see the challenges while training it. So what you can have is, so what you will be doing, let's say this is all a network. So this is network 1, network 2. So input 1, input 2, and then you have a few layers, maybe add a few layers, and softmax, and which will give you final output. Okay, so let's say this is your network. So in this network, for training, what we are thinking is, initially we will for training, like we won't we'll be having same image, right? Like let's say you have 1,000 employees. So what you do is, you here you have the database of those 1,000. So in this you give one of that image itself. Okay, maybe the same person's image. So now you train the network. Okay, and you train it like that will be a positive image. Okay, so if you are training with the data which is here within like your database, that is a positive image, for which we will be labeling it as 1. Okay, means like match should be 1. And for a negative image, you will be taking a negative values, like which is not there within this database. You'll be giving few images from there, here and there, and that you label as 0. Okay, so what you can do is, you can remove like few of the maybe give one image, right? So here it is 1, here 1 2 3 4 5 6. So if both sides, if it is 1, then it's a positive image. So if it is 1 and here you have given the second employee image, then it's a negative. And now if you give like third, again it's a negative. So on, you will be able to get like negative images here, right? So you'll now be able to train this classifier. But what happens is, you have less positive examples and more negative examples. So that will create a problem, right? So it will be very difficult to like train, because like it will see very low like positive examples, and it will be seeing like more of like negative examples. So that actually is a problem which will make the network bias towards negative examples, and it will start giving like any of the model as negative. So that, because let's say you have, I told you like earlier we have discussed about this, right? So class imbalance problem. So where you have a thousand data points, out of which 990 are negative and only 10 are positive. So in case if you train your data with this, and you will be having a combined loss function, right? So because of which what will happen is, in case if model blindly predicts everything as negative, then it will be getting 990 by 1,000. This will be the accuracy, right? So all of these it has detected as negative, in case let us say. So it will have 99% accuracy. So which is not at all right? Because this may look like a good model, but actually it's not good, right? So what we have to do is, we have to employ a strategy here as well, so which will tackle this issue. Okay, loss. So what this actually means is, so we can calculate actually like what you have is a dimension, right? So of, let's say 256 dimension vector, and one more 256 dimension vector. So using this two dimension, we have to compare both the So using soft, like finally we'll be doing a softmax because like for getting a probability. But how are we actually calculating here is we need to take the difference between these two, right? So in the sense it can be a distance. So this is a kind of, if you represent it in a vector space, what it will have is this is a point here, a vector here. So let's say this is a vector and one more is one more vector. Okay, so like this. So how similar are these two means this angle can give you like if those are similar. Maybe one is like this and other is like this, then these both are similar actually. Okay, so in one way those are similar. So actually what we can do is there are two types of measures which we can do. It's a distance measure, second is a angle measure for similarity, right? So distance measure is something like calculate like Euclidean distance. So which means you have a point x1 y1 and there is a point x2 y2, then the Euclidean distance is root over x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square, right? So if it is a two dimensional, but in case if you have like 256 dimension, it will go further, maybe z, a, b, c, d, so on like this. So there will be like a 256 dimension vector here and 256 dimension vector here, and you will be taking Euclidean distance between them. So and one more there is but if it is a large, right? So if you are going for a higher dimension, many of the cases Euclidean distance may not give a better result. So because what happens is so let's say a 3D plot, okay, we can't imagine more than that. So there is one thing like this, and in a three-dimensional there is one more thing like this. So here if you want to calculate distance, so you'll be treating like this, something like 100. This is one like one of the point and 010. So you'll be calculating distance, right? So and what about there is 110? So how these are similar, and these two are looking like same distance as these two or something like that, right? So you'll these two, so you'll be having such kind of things here. So what you do is like instead of using a distance majority, like in case of a higher dimension, what you go for is an angle measure. So you will be calculating a cosine distance, so we will be calling it as cosine distance, which is like cos of theta, uh, which is an where theta is an angle between those two vectors. So you have a vector here, you have a vector here, you'll be calculating the cos theta between those two, which will give you actually if these two are similar. So if it is parallel, right? So then actually these two can be similar, right? So then what will be the cos theta? Cos 0 is the angle is 0 here, so the cos theta is 1, means like it means these are similar. Theta equal to 0 degrees implies cos theta equal to 1. If one is going like this, one is going like this, here theta is like 90, which means these two are not similar at all, right? So here cos theta is 0. When they are at some angle, right, theta, then you will have cos theta, which will give you some like kind of a measure, like these are only like 0.5% similar, like something like that. Okay, so that is how actually we use cos theta for measuring a kind of a similarity here. So use this as a similarity matrix and then define like you can train a model. Okay, this here using this, what we do is using this like cosine distance or maybe angle measure. So what is expected is for a positive image, our distance should be 0, right? So and in case of a negative image, means like if it is similar, similarity score is 1, right? So from that you can get a distance should be 0. And in case of a negative image, like distance should be maximum. So this is expected from like your, like from the metric, and using this metric what we do is calculate the loss. So if it is a positive image, like, and actually it is also positive, then 0 loss. And if it is a negative image, then it is detected as a positive, then actually the loss should be equal to this distance. So what we do is we'll take a max of distance and 0 and use this like distance in case of a negative image and detected as a positive, as well as like if it is a positive image, if it is detected as a positive, it can be a 0, right? So using this way, like we'll be able to define a loss function, and using this loss function, which is called as a contrastive loss, we will we can train a layer, right? So but the issue comes up when due to the class imbalance problem, where you have like very few positive images and very large like negative images. So positive images is when like when you compare one with one, then a positive image. When you compare two with two, it's a positive image, like that, right? But negative image is when you compare one with two, three, four, five, six, seven, any of them. These are all negative images, right? So we will having like so many negative images and very few positive images. So what we do is, so instead of using direct loss function like this, we will be using a triplet loss function. So what this triplet loss function actually will compute the loss. Let me call it a contrastive loss, like what we have defined earlier, right? The same, it can be the same thing between your actual image, like means the, let's say this is new image is called as A, and then positive image and negative image. Okay, we are doing a comparison here. So let's call this triplet loss function as APN, where this is a new image, actual image. This is, these two are like positive and negative images. So what we do is we compute a distance or maybe a loss between like your actual image and then like positive image, as well as like, and if it is a negative, it should be, the loss should be a reverse, right? So actual image and negative image, the, like we are doing a subtraction, we can take this as a loss function. Okay, APN. So we are using 3 here, so it is called as a triplet loss. So and we can introduce a margin of alpha in case required, then because like to make it robust for, make it robust for in case of a similar faces as well. So because like maybe if a person is a twin brother or maybe having a similar facial features, he should not be misdetected as a person, right? So maybe he is not an employee, or he is not the face like which is not in a database, but a person who is similarly looking like him came over there. So in that case, maybe will be maybe the model may detect it as a same person. That should not happen. It should be very confidently means like it should not actually detect it. So what we do is a kind of, we introduce a kind of a margin, where if your error like values are within this range, right? So it is closer to the boundary, which means it can be positive or it can be even negative as well, right? So so we kind of introduce a margin so that we penalize in case if you have it within this range. If your model is not very confident, we make a penalization so that it should always be able to classify very far, right? Or maybe this side. So it should not keep something within very closer to the boundary. Okay, so we do a penalization for that. That's why we add this margin alpha.